guys. Evening. So yeah, we got a pretty big gap this morning, and probably the most talked about little pair in the markets today is the pound. Now, why did it open so low? Why did it open under 120? Now the main reason is that over the weekend it was leaked sort of to the newspapers that UK May is going to deliver a speech. This is the Prime Minister there on Tuesday, which essentially is going to lay out the plan that they currently have, and the way it's looking is that they're going to be pushing to not have any access to the single EU market, pulling out that mechanism and trying to basically run their own show, have complete control over renegotiating new trade deals, and also complete control over their border. And this is much more towards the hard Brexit stance. Now, obviously, everyone, today is speculating about what exactly is being meant by these newspaper reports, and is it hard Brexit? Is it something else? Now, there was some spiky action here in the last hour or so, and there is a government spokesman from the UK come out and says something along the lines of, talk of a hard Brexit is speculation. Right now, I mean, okay, that's a funny denial. That's not saying basically that there isn't going to be hard Brexit, or she's not going to be talking that way. That's just, basically telling the market not to speculate on what she's going to say. I mean, like, if she wasn't going to say what everyone thinks she's going to say, surely they would deny, rather than say it's just speculation. It's very unlikely that it's completely wrong, this sort of leak that she's going to be having, pushing the UK towards leaving the EU single market. Now, how that plays out going forward with financial services, exactly what form of Brexit, I think you had a couple of other spokesmen from the UK come out today saying, look, not a hard Brexit, not a soft Brexit, a good Brexit. This is all this spin that they're trying to put on it. At the end of the day, though, if they lose access to the single market, then they lose access, I think, to a lot of the luxuries that they've had, a much bigger deal to renegotiate, and they're not really pushing for something like Norway has, where they pay to have access to the European single market and still sign up to the rules, European court rules. They're basically stepping outside that whole framework from the sound of it. Which would be good if they're going to get these nice big deals done, but that creates a lot more uncertainty in the long term. In the short term. So, yeah, pound is right to be under pressure here, and I suggest that the sort of denial that we've got so far from the UK government spokesman is not the sort of, that's not the sort of thing you want to hear as a bull. I doubt the market's going to sustain the rally on that. So selling should come back in at some point before the speech tomorrow, and I suspect that we're going to break the lows that have been put in so far, which also end up being some sort of Fibonacci support as well. Not that I really play into that on this 119.80 level, but it's definitely. I mean, I suppose you got to be a little careful selling the pound underneath 120, don't you? You want to have momentum on your side. You want the market to be cracking lower. You don't want to be short at 119.90 for the next 6 months. So there is some dangers, obviously, to be selling, but uncertainty should breed more downside. Just generally, right? It doesn't stop on a dime like that. It's not over yet. In terms of what's going also on the market, though, there is a bit of US dollar strength that's rearing its head. No, not so much against the yen, although that has come back in the last 30 minutes or so. The mic is not rubbing against my shirt. That's outside here. It's quite loud. They've just the ambient sound. So yeah, this US dollar strength that we're seeing is more to do with just risk off. So you're seeing a little bit of Aussie selling back to 75. Seeing stocks come down a little bit. You're seeing the euro fall a little bit. Now dollar yen was also under pressure, but he has bounced, run into a little bit of support too. So while I'm not totally bullish, the two trades I have on at the moment is long dollar yen and short pound. It's a little bit haphazard to have both of those at the same time. I've got to be careful here. One of those might turn into trouble. Now I want to be long dollar yen. Just generally, the pound short is more of a tactical short, but I want to be long pound in the longer dollar yen as a main trade this week going into the election. Going into the inauguration. Just being long US dollar on this pullback is my main game. So I'm not really too worried about the selling pressure that's coming through here. I think we're closer to the end than the beginning of it. But you've got to be wary, right? Pound yen is a big catalyst, and it's just been crunched lower. Now, how far can it fall? Well, sharply low. 130 is on the card, so and that would put dollar yen back towards 112. So I'm aware that there is chances here of big selling, but so far stocks really aren't running with the hard Brexit issue. It's not creating major uncertainty just yet. It's more of the same, and it seems to be isolated to the pound. So I'm not too worried about that just yet. But if anything's going to unravel the dollar yen, it's probably, along these lines. If it spooks the stock market. Now, where's stocks in terms of the Dow? What's the Dow been doing? The Dow's been trundling along at this 20,000 level, and perhaps we are going to have a big pullback if we don't break above it soon. So, it's not like we've got no risk here in the market. If this is down, if the next move is down 300 points, 400 points on the Dow, then that would drag the dollar yen down too. So it's not clear that we're at the bottom yet. There is scenarios where dollar yen goes below 110. Alright. If we're looking at the US yields, which I tell you are very important, so every day, just have a check of the 10-year, see how they're moving. Remember they stalled at 2.5% a couple of weeks ago. That's not too bad, right? That's not too bad. Starting to show signs of a little bounce here. It's not the weakest chart I've seen. So that's Friday's price action. Now, reason why this is not updating is, and probably looks a little different right now, it's Martin Luther King Day today, so bonds probably closed in the US session, which creates another little bit of liquidity risk, right? There is a day off in the US tonight, so okay, perhaps I shouldn't be long dollar yen. You know what, in fact I'm going to be a little bit careful here, even though I don't mind it too much. I'm just going to get out of that long dollar yen just in case. Just in case. I'm going to leave my limit order, but I'm going to get out of that long dollar yen just in case some shenanigans happen tonight. I don't like the public holidays happening on big news like this, and I don't like to expect the market just to find a bottom quite quickly. The sort of situation I'm talking about here is if there's selling overnight and dollar yen, there's no buyers on the break lower, and they could just capitulate sharply. And I want to be buying that capitulation, but it can be bigger than you expect, so it can be 100, 200 points in a couple of minutes. And while I don't mind buying at 112, I don't want to be stuck in at 114, if that makes sense. So I'll reevaluate the whole trade tomorrow, and post May's speech, I'll see the market's reaction. If she gears towards a hard Brexit, yet stock markets don't react, yeah, we can get back into dollar yen with a bit more immunity. Even at 115, it's a safer trade. So we're giving up pips, but you're getting more information. Renko, I have not read that. Let's have a little look. Let's have a little look. Yeah, so the COT report was showing some pretty aggressive shorting. So shorting of the treasuries means that the yields are going up, guys. Now, when the shorting getting record and the market's not going up, that's dangerous. And that's what's been happening in the last week. Sharp, sharp, sharp. Yeah, so they're worried about the market being overly short US bonds, and then something happening to change the outlook, and then everyone getting out of their short positions, which is going to create buying of bonds, and buying of bonds pushes down the US yield, and the US dollar gets crushed. Fair point. Fair point. I didn't know that things were getting that extreme in the bond market, but yeah. And this is happening while the US dollar's been correcting too, so traders been using that pullback to get more and more short, and it's just not working out for them yet. So yeah, if we do get a shock like a Brexit, hard Brexit, and the stock markets react to that, and it's taken as material negative to the outlook of the global economy, then perhaps dollar yen will, sharply shunt lower towards 112, 111, 110 even. Before it can stabilize. So yeah, I'm pretty cautious this week, guys. Pretty cautious this week. I'm optimistic that we can get some really nice dollar yen prices. I just don't want to get in too early. I think May's speech tomorrow is a lot more important than Carney's. But yeah, it's definitely important to be watching what he says. The timing of tomorrow's speech is set pretty oddly. Before 10 a.m. but after 9:30 a.m. UK time, so it could be on during the stream tomorrow. Let's have a little look here. I'll just change it again. No, it's not until midday during Tuesday. It's too early for the stream. Alright, so that's basically my view here. Short pound tactically, and looking to flip into some long dollar yens after that tomorrow. That's more way I'm gonna play it this week. And after tomorrow, the market's gonna go back to focusing on Trump and his inauguration on Friday. don't underestimate how important that is. He's pretty out of control at the moment, so anything could happen. Literally anything could happen. Trump did threaten BMW in an online article, online interview he had with the paper. So he's really going after all the car makers. Alright, let's have a look at a little bit of research here. Something that we just picked up there. Have a Deutsche Bank article on dollar yen. How to know when the pullback is over. Let's see what else we have today. Yeah, we've got a fair few reports here talking about the CRT. Not so much about the bonds, but thank you for putting that up, Renko guy. Because FX, is what I look at mostly, and I don't see the bond reports, that's for sure. One note though is gold positions have rallied in the COT report for the first time in 9 weeks. Pretty notable too. I mean, Aussie and Kiwi have been pretty strong for the last 2 weeks, and they're still paring back the longs into it. So the market was caught long on the Aussie dollar, and they've used this bounce to sort of get out of that. That means that next time on the way down, if the US dollar strength was to come back, that you would see more selling. And the short positions on US Treasuries, which is this one, and perhaps we should keep on looking at that each week, is the one which we have to see signs of it getting oversold and paring back. So heavily short, but that's pretty big at Z score. Basically, a Z score is how far outside the norm that is. And that's a few standard deviations away. Same with the yen here. The yen's very short still, so that's hampering, right? Hampering the ability to resume the rally until you get clean out. This is not the end all, this is not really what you should be too worried about, but it's definitely something to take notice of. You can't really trade off it, but it's good to know, what is happening, where the build up is happening in the US futures. Which is how they trade a lot of their stuff, right? You don't get too much spot in the US. So it's something to keep an eye on. I don't really even look at it that often. But it was on the radar for a few, so. Looks like the pound and the dollar yen are having relief here, so that means that the pound yen is probably soaring. Yeah, so this is where you get some sharp rallies coming from in the pound, when the pound yen starts to rally with it. But given the news wasn't really a full withdrawal of what is expected tomorrow, don't chase this. This is dangerous here. This is very dangerous. don't know. I think Trump just has to stop being crazy for the US rally to begin again. I think he's going a little bit too aggro on too many topics, right? He needs to calm down and just stick to, we're going to rebuild America stuff, right? Stop starting wars with celebrities. Stop starting wars with individual companies. Anything more than 2 rate hikes by the Fed this year will push the dollar yen back above 120. Unwinding of US dollar positions, which haven't happened yet really, could definitely go more. They could get to 110. They're not saying anything crazy here. They do believe it will start to initiate some more hedging in the market around 115. Okay, so that could be something, right? If I was a corporate over in Japan, then perhaps I would take those new rallies as an opportunity to hedge, given that we were down at 10, 102, 103 a couple of months ago. And I wouldn't really believe that the Fed's going to raise 3 times straight off the bat, so probably would lock in a nice level. So perhaps there will be starting to be some new liquidity, some new capping that's coming through on the rallies, and that's just more from the Japanese corporate side. We'll have to see if that really plays out on the next rallies. If it seems like it struggles and it goes into range trading, dollar yen actually does go into nice little ranges every now and again. If we look at the daily, it can really go into these nice ranges quite quickly that are just 300 or 400 pips wide, and that's not too hard to see at all. And then this little chart here is correct, right? We are anticipating the strength of the Trump fiscal stimulus rather than waiting to see the reactions yet. If you're going to sell the pound in terms of where you want your stop, probably just above that previous low on Friday. So I put my stop in at 131, 121.30, 121.40. Makes sense to me. Anything above that probably is going to go back to that 122, and then maybe a bigger announcements come out. So this is not safe at all. So definitely have stops in on this trade. It's probably going to be okay though on the short side. Now, are you guys still hearing my heartbeat, or are you still hearing like the wind? Because I can turn it down a little bit, but I don't really want to change the setup too much. I'm trying to just find something nice to run every day and see if there's I am using the webcam mic still though. Oh, level 24 of a high rise. It's really hot here in Australia. I can close it. I can close it. I'll try that tomorrow, okay? I'll try that tomorrow. You tell me if it's better. Who was that saying my heart rate 72? Jesus, I wish it was heart rate 72. Probably more closer to 120. Resting. So the Brexit is looking pretty hard, Rita, and downside below 120 is pretty real. Opening up towards 115 is is on the cards in the next couple of weeks. If the market gets hold of that story, the thing that's stopping probably the pound getting too ultra weak is that the US dollar is also having its own little correction in the meantime. So perhaps that will stop it falling in the meantime. But pound yen looks pretty ready to go too. So 115 looks really achievable. I'm not really in the ultra bear camp at 115 while they negotiate. While she comes up with a plan, makes a lot of sense. It's another report basically on what's going on. HSBC here. Downing Street staff expect her words to cause a market correction that could lead to a fresh fall in the pound. I mean, if that's the situation, right? Wow. And these are laymen's. If they're saying that, then it must be something in there that's going to get the market moving. And then Trump's speech is another thing here on the 20th. Trump's speech is going to pretty much outline here what's important for him. If he mentions China like 5 times, I think stocks are going to crash. Not crash, but be under a lot of pressure. If he's too aggressive towards China there, because it would be ushering in the new regime, right? And a lot of traders also trading gold here. Now, in terms of gold and its strength, it's back above 1200. It's looking pretty aggressive. I didn't mind selling gold the first time I went to 1200. This is not really what I want to do again, though, right? I don't want to be selling into this rally again. I'll just be waiting to see, like the whole Brexit and the uncertainty from Trump does actually help gold. Support its rally there, and at some point you just got to give in as a seller and wait for it to sort of overshoot, right? Gold can easily move $30-40 an ounce, keeping on going with its trend. Not even an effort, right? There's nothing for gold to get back to 1240, 1250. That breakdown point easily could be on the cards here. And so, I know it's tempting to try and get in early, but perhaps it's, the sellers, and this is very key for gold, the sellers really are backed by momentum only. You don't sell gold and hold it forever. That's not a trade. People buy gold forever, they don't sell gold forever. Gold is not an exchange rate. Gold is, a scarce commodity that goes up based upon uncertainty, and this year is going to be huge amounts of uncertainty. But if the market's focused on the US raising rates, US dollar strength, and gold goes down quite sharply. When it turns into a buy. So I'd be very careful here about selling into this particular rally here with so much uncertainty on the cards. I like to sell, but I'm not selling again. I'll just wait to see how high we go, what levels we get to. But I definitely understand the sellers. Not this time. It's a pretty strong rally, right? Pretty strong rally. Blackadder is saber rattling. Yeah, look, it's pretty good saber rattling. Like, I was always of the opinion that this was sort of a negotiating position, but now I think it's actually their position. You know, that's I know what you're saying, Black, Slack Ladder, but it's yeah, I just don't think the EU is in a position to step down on this negotiation. Remember, the EU this year has all its own policy problems. You know, you've got political issues. So you want to send a sort of a hard message towards the other potential states in the EU that you can't just leave and get a good deal. So I'm a big believer in that. The powers that be wants to be hard with UK, so that Netherlands, Italy, Greece don't get the idea to just leave. But you know, we are playing a lot of conjecture there, right? We're playing conjecture that sort of politics is in play. At the end of the day, there's billion-dollar businesses that are getting affected by this, and perhaps that will be more important. You know, money talks as well in politics. So if there ends up being a nice deal, then you know you're right. That this was just really tough negotiating by the UK's part, but it's pretty aggressive negotiating tactic. You know, that's a big bet. That's a big bluff if this is a bluff. But it definitely could be the case, Blatter. And that would be ultra bullish for the pound if that ends up being the case. But I think the burden is still going to be there. The burden of proof is going to be on, you know, the PM May to sort of change course once she gets some sort of reprieve from the EU, and then we'll pay more attention to that possibility and we'll go with it, right? We'll go with it, and perhaps what you're going to see is a lot more, say, big banks from around the world start threatening to leave the, you know, London city. If that happens, perhaps then the pressure on the UK government will get too great. But let's see how it plays out. I'm not trying to predict right now. First things first, let's hear what May has to say. We'll try and gauge her view tomorrow. If it really has changed into this hard Brexit stance, then we have to respond to that, at least in the short term. So while you might want to buy the pound, you might want to wait until you get a really nice level. There's no reason not to sort of wait, let the market flush out to the downside, and you might get a 115 or 116, so you can add to your long-term view. Alright guys. Alright, well that's enough tonight. Pretty much what I think is happening. I've given you an update there. Suspect that this pound rally won't get too far. I don't mind the dollar yen. I do want to just wait and see if the bottom's in though. No reason to get too aggressive with it just yet. And let's keep an eye on that speech tomorrow, which will be just after the just after my update. A couple hours after my update tomorrow at 9, probably around 12 GMT. Alright, trade safe guys, the next 24 hours. Could be a doozy.